तू हिदायत तू वली है तेरा नूर हर कहीं है
أنت فخر مريدي نورك غطى العالمين
هستی حاضر در دعایم
دیدنی تو هوس آرزویم
Béni nous de tes regards miséricordieux.
مشکل گشا
रहमतों का है तू समंदर
फर्मा तेरा सारा पर
हर नजारी तू रू बख्शा
तू पोगस्ती दर हकीकत हर तरफ है तेरी रहमत
आया है फिर से जश्न इमामत
नेमत आया है
शुक्रान लिल्लाह या इमाम-ए-ज़मां तुझसे खुशियां है रवा
Thank you, Mola Papa, for everything. Thank you, Ali Papa, for everything. Imam Day Mubarak. Thank you, Mola Papa, for keeping us safe and healthy. Imam Day Mubarak, Mola Papa. We love you. Yani Muhammad, everyone. I'm thankful to Mola Papa for my family, books and toys. Thank you, Mola Papa, for guiding me with your firmans and helping people in need around the world. Kushali Mubarak. Thank you, Mola Papa, for guiding us. Imam Day Mubarak. Thank you, Mola Papa, for your love and everything around me. Thank you. I'm thankful for a food, a life, and a family.
Thank you, Maulana Hazrat Imam, for devoting your life to making the world a better place. Imam Day Mubarak, we love you.
Thank you, Mola Bappa, for taking care of us always, especially during these unprecedented times. You are our spiritual mother and father.
We love you, Imam Day Mubarak. Thank you for Mola Baba to send all the blessings. Thank you, Mola Baba, for giving me, my little brother, food to eat, home to live, and for guiding us through the difficult times. Happy Imam Day! Thank you, Mola Papa, for everything. Thank you, Mola Papa, for teaching me to be kindful and respectful. Thank you, Mola Papa, for everything you've done for me and my family. We love you, Mola Papa.
I'm thankful for the wonderful advice that Mola Bapa gives us in his firmans.
Dear Mola Papa, thank you for guiding us and protecting us through your whole life. P.S. Happy 64th Imamah Day. Thank you, Mola Papa, for all your guidance and always being with us. Thank you, Mola Papa, for keeping us on Surat al-Mustaqim. Happy Imamah Day, Mola Papa. We love you. Thank you, Mola Papa, for being our Imam. Thank you, Mola Papa, for our family. Thank you, Mola Papa, for guiding us on the right path. Thank you, Mola Papa, for keeping me healthy and safe by your guidance, and for giving me opportunities for success in my life.
Thank you, Mola Baba, for your continuous guidance to stay on Sirat al-Mustaqim. We love you and Imam Day Mubarak, Baba.
Thank you, Mola Papa, for all the blessings.
Thank you, Mola Papa, for always being there for us. Yom Imamat Mubarak.
Thank you, Bapa, for my brother. Merci, Bapa, pour mon frère.
Thank you, Lali Papa, for guiding us to the right path. I love you.
Thank you, Mola, for your unconditional love and guidance. On this Imamah Day, I promise to build a world of love, peace, and respect. Dear Mola, I promise to keep building upon these promises. I promise, I promise, I promise. Imamah Day Mubarak.
Thank you, Ali Papa, for everything. I love you. Thank you, Mola Papa, for my family. Thank you, Mola Papa, for your blessings and guidance. Ali Papa, thank you for Mommy and Daddy. Thank you for Eva. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Mola Bapa, for guiding us and keeping us safe, healthy, and happy during these troubled times, as well as keeping us as a united Jamaat. Kushali Mubarak to all.
Thank you, Mola Bapa, for toys and books. Imamah Day Mubarak to all Ismailis around the world.
Thank you, Mola Bapa, for all your guidance. And happy 64th Imamah Day to you all.
I'm thankful for a life, a house, and a family.
Thank you, and Papa, for taking care of us, and we love you. Thank you, Mola Papa, for keeping your hands on our shoulders. Ameen.
Thank you, Mola Papa, for our community and Jamaat.
Thank you, Mola Papa, for making me happy.
Imamat Day Mubarak.
We're strong, we're smart, we're beautiful, we're blessed. We're sisters and we always stick together. Thank you, Hazari Mom, for giving us each other and our families. Kushali Mubarak.
Thank you, Mola Papa, for all the opportunities that you bestow upon us, for your continuous guidance through our adversities, and for always having something better planned even if things don't go the way we had hoped.
Thank you, Mola Papa, for giving us guidance in all that we do. Thank you for giving the Jamaat a quality of life. We love you, Mola Papa. Mwah.
Thank you, Mola Papa, for lighting our way with your guidance. I'm so blessed to have your hands on my shoulders always. Kushali Mubarak, everyone. Thank you, Mola Papa, for guiding us on Siratal Mustaqim. We're so grateful for your blessings. Imamat Day Mubarak.
Thank you, Mola Papa, for being our ray of light and leading us on the path of Siratal Mustaqim. We are so grateful for you. Thank you, Mola Papa.
Thank you, Mola Papa, for your blessings and for your guidance, and keep us firm on Siratal Mustaqim.
Thank you, Mola Papa, for all that you do for us and for showering countless blessings over us. Ameen.
Not even एक विस्सा and now you're sat me by on Nabi all out Ali on Nabi all out Ali. Let's take a moment to really own it. Now that we know it, how can we show it? Mubarak, Mubarak, Mawla. Mubarak, Mubarak, Mawla. Mubarak, Mubarak, Mawla. Mubarak, Mubarak, Mawla. Golden Jubilee ujavi, Diamond Jubilee ujavashu. Chamke che taaj tamaro, deenane raaj maro. Ek baar mare gaamde aao, ek baar mare gaamde aao. Sir taaj hamara, aao Karim Shah pyara. Baatu jo eche jamaato didar dyo, baatu jo eche jamaato didar dyo. Hone no na tara, aao Karim Shah pyara. Let's take a moment to really own it. Now that we know it, how can we show it? Mubarak, Mubarak, Mawla. Mubarak, Mubarak, Mawla. Mubarak, Mubarak, Mawla. Mubarak, Mubarak, Mawla. The light that reveals the love that we The faith in our life, the way that it guides our hearts cannot say how grateful we are today. Shukran, 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 Mubarak. Shukran, shukran, Mubarak, Mawla. Mubarak, Mubarak, Mawla. Mubarak, Mubarak, Mawla. Mubarak, Mubarak, Mawla. Mubarak, Mubarak, Mawla. Shukran, 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 Mubarak. Shukran, shukran, Mubarak, Mawla. Shukran, 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 Mubarak. Shukran, shukran, Mubarak, Mawla.
On behalf of all the Jamaat present here, I welcome His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Portugal, Professor Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, to this Darbar.
This morning, I signed an instrument designating the seat of the Ismaili Imamate here in Lisbon, which I have decided to name as the Diwan of the Ismaili Imamate. This historic step to further strengthen the capacities of the Imamate's institutions to better serve the Jamaat's needs. I express my gratitude to the government and people of Portugal for inviting me to establish this seat here. The establishment of this seat provides that the Imamate and the government will continue to work together to enhance the understanding among Muslims and non-Muslims and contribute to peace and stability around the world. We now have, alhamdulillah, Portugal as our partner.
Yali Madat, everybody. Bienvenue to Friday Night Reflections. I'm Omar Sachedina, and I'm coming to you from Toronto this evening. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to all of our Jamaati members, as well as multi-faith family members who are watching from right across Canada and in some cases from around the world as well. Before we continue, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm speaking to you from the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Wendat, and Haudenosaunee peoples, among other nations. There are 630 First Nations, and these are traditional guardians of this land, a concept we should understand well, given our understanding of the concept of amana, or trust that Allah has put in us to take care of this planet while we are here.
This week was also a significant one with the appointment of Canada's 30th Governor-General, Mary Simon. Ms. Simon makes history as the first Indigenous person to represent the Crown in Canada.
This, of course, is a very special weekend for us all. On Sunday, of course, is Imamate Day. There will also be a weekend full of events to mark the occasion of digital events So I hope you get a chance to take part in that as well. Tonight we will start with greetings from Council of Canada President Amir Ali Kassim Laka. I will then sit down with the Right Honourable David Johnston, who was, of course, Canada's 28th Governor General. After that, All-Wise Dr. Karim Damji will join us to provide a faith reflection on this Imamat Day. And as always, we'll end with musical expressions. So lots to get to tonight. Without further ado, here is President Amir Ali Kassim Laka.
My dear brothers and sisters, Yalimulat. On behalf of the Jamaati leadership, I wish you and your families Kushali Mubarak. As we celebrate 64 years of our beloved Hazrat Imam's Imamat, we offer our humble shukrana to Maulana Hazrat Imam for his constant guidance, protection, love and affection. On the occasion of Imamat Day, we pray for success and happiness for every family in the Jamaat. I want to take this opportunity to thank the Jamaat for its patience and understanding at every stage of the pandemic. Throughout Jamaat Khana openings, closings, changes in capacity and adherence to protocols, the Jamaat has been considerate and supportive. Our volunteers and frontline workers have rendered outstanding services and we owe them our deep gratitude. In the last few weeks, provincial governments have been easing restrictions related to places of worship. Accordingly, Jamaat Khana attendance capacity has increased. Canada has made significant progress with its vaccination program, allowing for ease of restrictions in many areas of activity and gradual return to normalcy. Inshallah, we have much to look forward to. Tonight, I would like to speak about an important initiative we have launched for the benefit of the Jamaat. It is called 10,000 Chais. 10,000 Chais is an online platform that allows members of our community to create personal and professional connections with one another based on shared interests and goals. It is a way for the youth and adults in our community to get to know one another, expanding their professional and personal networks and sharing best practices. The platform is available to Jamaat and multi-faith family members above the age of 18. It has 3 key features. The Connections feature will match registrants based on shared interests and goals. The Office Hours feature will allow Jamaat to engage with senior industry leaders in an intimate and informal setting. The member directory will allow registrants to search for Jamaati members who have expertise in specific fields whom they would like to connect with. 10,000 Chais will inshallah facilitate networking and mentoring on a significant scale. Guiding and helping one another and sharing our successes and learnings are key principles of our faith. We all know this. Through this program, our youth will be able to make personal connections with highly successful industry leaders in order to learn from their experience, learn about industries they're operating in, and gain insights on emerging trends and opportunities. The underpinning of this platform is our beloved Hazrat Imam's guidance. Mentoring is an endeavor he has strongly encouraged. Let me share with you that in 2019, when the leadership informed Maulana Hazrat Imam about a mentorship program that was being piloted in Canada, Maulana Hazrat Imam provided specific guidance to the leadership to scale the program and to consider what scaling means in the context of a national and international Jamaat. It is based on this guidance that we are scaling 10,000 Chais. We are encouraging every young adult in our Jamaat to register and utilize this platform, and every adult who can provide good counsel and mentorship to sign up for the program. We are also inviting adults who want to connect with others regarding their careers and businesses to join. An online meeting over chai can be arranged for as short as 15 minutes. Sometimes a key insight shared by a mentor in a 15-minute conversation can transform a future or change a destiny. There are two expressions. Who you know is as important as what you know. And to move forward, you need a sponsor. Networking is about building allies, connecting with the right people who can be important to our future. Networking comes naturally to some, while others are more shy or reserved. Either way, networking is a powerful tool which we are encouraging the Jamaat to embrace. Networking can be a game changer in our life trajectory. And mentoring is a way to pay it forward and give back to community. The 10,000 Chais page is live on IA Canada and registration takes a few minutes. I strongly encourage you, your colleagues and family members to join. Once again, on the occasion of Imamat Day, let us give thanks for the blessing of Imamat and for the continued guidance of Maulana Hazrat Imam. We wish you and your families a happy celebration. Thank you and Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you, President Saib, for those greetings. Our featured guest tonight is the Right Honourable David Johnston, the 28th Governor General of Canada. And when he was installed back in 2010, he sought to create a theme, a call to service. Mr. Johnston noted, and I quote, "This theme of service echoes that of Her Majesty the Queen's 2010 visit, honoring the Canadian record of service, past, present, and future, and illustrates how the Governor-General exemplifies the Canadian value of service to community and country," end quote. Mr. Johnston was the president of the University of Waterloo as well as the principal of McGill University, and it was in this role at McGill that he first met Hazrat Imam at the opening of the Aga Khan University. His record of service is so long it could really take up this entire broadcast. He, of course, has led a variety of boards and commissions. He is influential for his writings on Canadian federalism, and he has moderated several federal leaders' debates as well. So without taking up too much more time, here's my conversation with the Right Honourable David Johnston. Mr. Johnston, it's so good to see you once again. You know, the last time I saw you face-to-face was 5 years ago. I think it was back in 2016 during the Rio Olympics. And I had asked your office, I had asked if we could do the interview on a beach, and you were gracious enough to agree. And it was a wonderful day. You had arrived in a Canada sweatshirt as well to cheer on our team. So much has changed, Mr. Johnston, in the past 5 years. We are, of course, in the midst of a global pandemic. Even though there are signs things are getting a little bit better, there has been a racial reckoning in this country. There has been a discovery of graves, of remains as well. I would say that, you know, this country is in the midst of growing up. How would you consider or characterize what this country is going through right now?
Well, of course, we live in a period of great change and acceleration of change. And we've just celebrated Canada Day. And we look back on our history both with pride and also with a recognition that we've made mistakes along the way, some of them really very sad and serious ones, and the path of reconciliation is an important one. And what gives me great hope and great encouragement is the sense of all Canadians joining in that reconciliation path and drawing from the strengths, the things that we have done well in this country, to guide us as we overcome the things that we haven't done well and ensure that the future for all Canadians will be a very bright and promising one in a world of change, and where we will be able to be resilient and adapt to that change and ensure equal opportunity for all in Canada.
I want to turn now, if I may, to your wonderful book, which was so eloquently written, all of those letters. The book is called The Idea of Canada, Letters to a Nation. And you've written to various people whom you've befriended during your lifetime. And one of those people, of course, is His Highness the Aga Khan. As you know, on Sunday, he is celebrating his 64th anniversary as leader or Imam of the world's Shia Imami Ismaili Muslims. And I'm just wondering if you could perhaps read a passage from that book and from that letter.
Oh, with pleasure. You know, what an extraordinary accomplishment and the journey of His Highness 64 years as the Imam. And not only has he been such an important leader for his people, but he has been such a figure for the whole notion of pluralism and understanding one another in the world. I salute him so much and congratulate him on 64 remarkable years. And you're right, Omer, in the book, The Idea of Canada, which I wrote while I was Governor General, it's my habit of writing letters, handwritten kind of letters that sometimes present a little bit of a challenge in terms of the legibility, but my assistant wonderfully usually types them out so people can have them. And so we collected some of those letters, some that in fact I had written before then, and some that we wrote for the purpose, and some actually posthumously to people that I would have written to had they still been alive. But the one that I wrote to His Highness was on the diplomacy of knowledge, and it was subtitled Create a Smarter, More Caring World. And just to read one passage from that book, let me say this of what I said in those lines. In your address to a convocation audience at the University of Ottawa, you described your way of thinking and seeing as sharing internationally in the hard work of intellectual inquiry. I call your speech and your approach the diplomacy of knowledge, different words for the same technique. The diplomacy of knowledge is our willingness and ability to work across disciplinary boundaries and international borders to uncover, share, and refine knowledge. Thomas Jefferson's brilliant metaphor of a burning candle is still, I think, the best way to illustrate the concept of the diplomacy of knowledge and its incredible power. The candle of flame symbolizes not only enlightenment, but also the transmission of learning from one person or group of people to another. When I light my candle from the flame of yours, your light is not diminished. Just the opposite. The light from both our candles shines brighter and all around us. In physics, it's called candle power. So that's the diplomacy of knowledge, which I think His Highness has been practicing and promoting so ably through his 64 years. And it's particularly appropriate for Canada, where we believe that you can have equality of opportunity and excellence too, that each of those two values or concepts reinforces one another. And we'll define the sovereignty of nations in the 21st century by how well a particular society or nation enables each of their people to grow to the very extent of their talent, and in fact that those limits expand. And out of that draws the excellence that constantly permits us to work for the improvement of humankind.
On a very practical level, just to pick up on that Jeffersonian concept of lighting a candle, how do the rest of us do that? I mean, in a day and age and at a time when, people have become increasingly more atomistic, there has been perhaps less of a desire to engage in calm and civil discussion. People tend to get very fiery. They have very visceral discussions on various matters. On a practical level, how do we all help each other light each other's candles?
Well, I think we begin by listening. My grandmother used to say, David, you've got 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth, and use those proportions appropriately. Listening to one another and coming to learn about one another, especially others who are not of our same particular community or same cultural background, etc. And in that understanding of the other, I think, comes the ability to collaborate and work together. I've watched my children grow. We have 5 daughters, now 14 grandchildren, and our 5 daughters began international exchanges at age 12. And they've been exposed to some difference through their church and their volunteer activities. They were exposed to poverty and so on. But in the international scene, it was truly different cultures. And 4 things happened to them that were quite dramatic in their formation, comme on dit en français. First of all, they became more curious. Their whys became more penetrating ones. Secondly, they became more tolerant. Not just, you're different, that's okay, nobody gets hurt, but what lies behind that difference? Thirdly, their judgment became better. They were always interested in this other side of the story, looking at something from a different angle, getting a perspective on it. But the most important thing that happened, Omer, was they became more empathetic. Empathy, not just sympathy, I feel sorry for your plight, but empathy, I see your plight and I walk in your shoes together. And I think that's a great feature of Canadian life, that we do have this notion of equality of opportunity and excellence too, and that we by nature are an empathetic people. And in each of our lives, I think we want to reflect that by listening and then reaching out to help the other, not to have a world that's focused only on the I, but very much focused on the we.
I actually didn't know this, but your association to His Highness goes back almost 40 years. 4 decades is a long time. And I'm just wondering if you would feel comfortable sharing a story or an encounter that you remember particularly fondly.
Well, there are a number, because he's such an extraordinary person, and Sharon and I treasure all of those. She too has a great admiration and a great friendship with him, a real personal bond of respect and affection. We first met him in Karachi, Pakistan in 1980, when he was opening the Aga Khan University and the Aga Khan Hospital. I was principal of McGill University at the time, and we partnered with the Aga Khan Hospital and University, as several other North American universities did, McMaster for the program in nursing, and McGill partnered with them in the, the clinical work, the outpatients clinics and the clinics in regions across Pakistan, which was somewhat of a novelty. And it was our Department of Public Health and Epidemiology, led by Walter Spitzer, who was just a phenomenal leader in outreach and developing the delivery of health services at the local level, which were appropriate to the culture of the particular environment. And at the time with McMaster's School of Nursing, we were educating young girls to be nurse practitioners. And that was very uncommon in Pakistan at the time, particularly females attending to the health needs of boys and men. And just overcoming that particular cultural gap, quite apart from dealing with the health needs of community medicine, was a challenge. And His Highness, of course, just led it brilliantly and brought together this expertise from North America and other places and made it appropriate for the local cultures, which were just very important for the development at that time. That was just one of many of the remarkable initiatives he's led, with this great sense of reaching out to the other, but this great sense of pluralism, and out of different points of view, different cultures, one can establish collaboration that's very, very powerful. And so that was our first, I think, encounter in a very substantive way, but we continued at McGill to be involved with his work in the world, and then developed a friendship that we cherish very much.
And as I mentioned, it goes back 40 years. You know, you mentioned the mutual love of sport, the where you are both aligned in terms of really living the act of pluralism and making sure that those differences are celebrated in society. What else do you most admire about him?
I think the values that he's brought to a world of challenge, his clarion voice about pluralism and regard for the other, which he has not only preached, but he's practiced so well. And you know, as the decades go on, it becomes even more timely and even more important. He created the Center for Global Pluralism in Ottawa on our historic street, Sussex Drive. And you know, that particular creation in Canada has been so central to his message, taking the best values of Canada, the inclusivity, the notion that everyone counts, that you can respect and retain your culture and your religious traditions and so on, and be a great Canadian and contribute to improving communities for all. And bringing that message to the world, that we We prosper when we learn to understand one another, and then we learn to partner with one another, to collaborate with one another, and then do things with one another that's good for both societies at the same time. A timeless and wonderful message that has been so clear and so important and so wonderfully delivered by His Highness.
You know, one of the quotes that I keep on going back to at various points in my own life of the Aga Khan's is a commencement speech that he gave at Brown University. And he talked about the need for civilizations to keep that seed of hope alive through whatever adversity they're going through. And he said, the right to hope is the most powerful human motivation that I know. I think it'd be safe to say that you would share that same sentiment. How do you keep hope alive in the face of so much adversity?
Well, I think great leaders not only express hope, but help to create the attitudes and indeed the conditions where people can in fact be hopeful, look forward to a better day. Following the book called The Idea of Canada, we wrote a couple books on innovation, and then we wrote a book called Trust and the Importance of Trust in Any Society. The book we're working on now is Empathy, which, as I mentioned earlier, is not simply sympathy. I feel sorry for you, but it's I understand your situation, and we together will work to improve it. And I see trust and empathy as the two sides of a single coin. But the edge of the coin, what holds them together, is hope. Out of trust and out of empathy comes a sense of hope. Together, we will take our situation and make it better for all. And His Highness just epitomizes that so well.
What's your read on what we're going through right now? Do you feel that we have that sense of hope? It seems like the world is split in some ways. As things are gradually opening up, there is, as I mentioned, that sense of optimism. On the flip side, there are areas of the world, the developing world, that are still desperate for things like access to vaccine. What's your read on the situation? I know it's a massive question to ask, but what are your thoughts?
Well, the good and the bad. I think the bad is that we have seen change that has been unhelpful, be it climate change, be it global financial crisis of 2008, be it the pandemic that has sprung upon us, be it the digital revolution, which I regard as a great tool for improvement for the human condition, but it's also had its downsides with how false news and social media have created populist notions that have very little to do with improving the human condition. So we've seen, 3 or 4 great changes, and perhaps the most important one is the rapidity of the speed of change, that the geometrical progression of change going this way, especially led by the digital revolution, and our ability to manage that, the human interface, has been leaving quite a gap. But then we turn to the bright side. It took over 3 centuries for the printing press to reach a majority of the population of Western Europe from the 15th century on. And that transformed Western Europe from being a backward civilization to being ahead of Islam or China or India or other great cultures. It took less than a decade for the internet to reach a majority of the world's population from 1993 to 2003. And what a transformation that's been. But that has brought knowledge, data, information, knowledge with any luck, wisdom, to every corner of the world at almost no cost. So all of a sudden we have knowledge that is accessible to all. That's really a remarkable opportunity for hope. And take the pandemic, which is such a scourge. What would normally be 10 years or more of science has been telescoped into 10 months to come up with a vaccine. Extraordinary accomplishment. And in this country, Canada, I'm very hopeful that, in fact, we'll set the Guinness Book of Record achievement for 90% plus of our population being vaccinated as a way of each of us combating this and ruling in this vaccination, and then ruling in this virus, and then use all our efforts to extend that same movement to all countries around the world to get people vaccinated so that we vanquish this particular virus and others that come along. For me, those are very, very hopeful things. And I draw great strength from this country as it's faced other obstacles, including some of the tragic histories of our past, and say, you know, with a sense of real inclusivity and collaboration, that we shall overcome, and it will be a better day for all.
I think you touched on something so significant there. You know, it's not just adapting to the changes we're seeing in society, but also showing a certain level of resilience. And that, I think, is what has struck me most about humanity and all the stories that I've covered. I remember being in Indonesia a few years ago covering a tsunami, and there was a gentleman who had just lost basically his entire house, his entire family. And despite that, the day after, he showed up to the site and was helping other families locate their children in the rubble. And to me, that's extraordinary.
Yeah, you know, Darwin once said that it's not the strongest or the most powerful of the species that will survive, it's the most resilient. And resilience, I think, is a really important quality. But it's resilience that's based on, you know, again, the sense of hope that we spoke of earlier, and it is taking the current situation that you have and making the best of it. And with any luck, being able to reach out to others who are in a more fortunate position, who will extend the hand of empathy and trust to overcome that particular situation. I look at the story of the Ishmaeli people in Canada. You know, this country's been built on waves upon waves of immigrants. Hugh MacLennan, our great novelist, once said that Canada's a nation of losers. Well, he didn't mean that we were bereft people. He meant that so much of our population are immigrants who come from very unfortunate circumstances, oppression, starvation. My family emigrated from Ireland when the potatoes ran out in the 1840s, etc. But they come to Canada with a hope and a sense that life will be better for our children and our grandchildren. And what is more with those waves of immigrant is they have not only made that life better for their own family, but for people around them, the whole society. And that, for me, is Canada. So when the Ishmaelis in Uganda were being very seriously persecuted, driven out of their homes, in some cases, fear of their life, the government of Canada reached out and said, we are there to help. And they came very rapidly to this country. And it's absolutely astounding to look at the contribution that community of Ishmaeli people have made, not simply to protect their own families and their own culture and their own religion, but to share the sense of helping the other, the responsibility that I not only look after myself, but I look after those around me, and in particular those who are not of my specific kind of culture or whatever. That's a great Canadian story, and it is, I think, such a wonderful lesson for the world, how the Ishmaeli people have come from a very challenging set of circumstances, planted themselves here in Canada, have become such outstanding citizens. His Highness, for example, is an honorary citizen of Canada, one of the few. He's a companion of the Order of Canada, our highest honor, because he exemplifies what we think is so important in this country and what we see as a very fundamental value.
And His Highness, of course, leading the community through those pivotal transitions to various parts of the world and the West in particular. You know, as a final thought, Sunday, as we mentioned, will be the Imamate Day, the 64th anniversary of His Highness's ascension to the Imamate. He's the leader of the world's Ismaili Muslims. What are your hopes and your wishes for your friend as he marks this momentous day on Sunday, and as the global community does as well?
I think, first of all, Sharon and I would say continued good health and great joy. And secondly, how much we and all Canadians admire your leadership. And I guess my hope, my prayer would be that it not only continues, but it has an even greater impact on the world around us, of living the values of pluralism, inclusivity, and concern for the other.
Well said. Mr. Johnston, thank you so much for your candor, your grace, your immense perspective, And I'm deeply grateful for the conversation. Hopefully we can do this in person, maybe on another beach somewhere else or closer to home.
You bet, Omer. Let's not wait for the next Olympics to do it. Take care.
Look forward to it. Thank you so much. Up next is All-Wise Dr. Karim Bamji, who will remind us of the blessing of imamate in our faith. If you go to Belrive Jamaat Khana in Edmonton, you would simply know him as Mukhi Saib. He is also the chair of the Department of Ophthalmology at the University of Alberta. Here's All-Wise Dr. Karim Bamji.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim and Ya Ali Madad. On July 11th, we will commemorate the 64th Imamat Day of our beloved Nur Maulana Shah Karim Al-Husseini, Hazar Imam. July 11th, 1957 was the day when our beloved Imam, at the age of 20, succeeded his grandfather, Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah alayhi salam. This occasion is one of the most important annual festivals for us as Shia Ismaili Muslims, because we celebrate the continuity of divine guidance and of a present and living Imam, invested with the nur of Maulana Murtaza Ali alayhi salam, whom our Holy Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him and his progeny, designated as his successor. Now, Imamat Day is an occasion for us to reflect on the significance and blessings of the institution of Imamat and of a present and living Imam, including the role and impact of Maula's timely guidance in our lives. It also offers us an opportunity to strengthen our spiritual bond of love and devotion with Maula, and to consider what we can do to make our beloved Imam really, really happy. First, the blessing of guidance. It is logical to consider that a loving Creator, Allah, would ensure that divine guidance is always accessible to humankind. And for us as Shia Ismaili Muslims, our profound conviction is that this guidance has remained available after the passing of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, through the recognition of his progeny or his descendants, our Imams. It is therefore to our beloved Imam that we submit our love and our allegiance, and it is he who guides our interpretation of faith, and who continuously safeguards our quality of life in matters of faith and world, just as our beloved Prophet did during his lifetime. It is our Imam who lights our path in the search for spiritual enlightenment. Now, an incredibly special feature of our tariqah is that our Imam is Hazir wa Mawjud, ever present, ever living. He is always present to provide guidance according to the changing times and circumstances. He is our Sahibiz Zamani wal Asra, the Lord of the age and time. His love and affection, his nur, the nur of Hazrat Ali, indicates to us where to turn so that we can navigate life's challenges and difficulties, and inshallah remain on Sirat al-Mustaqim, so that we can live a balanced life and obtain spiritual and worldly satisfaction. As murids, we have a permanent spiritual bond with our murshid, a bond that transcends time, history, and geography. Recall Maulana Hazar Imam's irshad in Ishkoshim, Badakhshan, Tajikistan on November 4th, 2008, when he said, "No mountain, no river, no desert can stop the love of the Imam for his Jamaat worldwide." Our Imam's love for us has no bounds, and we remain forever indebted to him. We cannot offer enough shukrana, and we need to ask, what is it that we can do to make him really, really happy? What can we possibly hope to give him in return for all that he has given us and continues to do for us? A similar question was asked to Prophet Muhammad, and Allah guided him to respond by saying, "Say, I do not ask of you any reward for it, the conveying of revelation, except love for my relatives." And that is from the Quran, Surah 42, verse 22. Relatives here, according to our Shia interpretation, refers to the Al-Bayt, that is the family of the Prophet, as well as to his descendants, our beloved Imam. Regarding love for Mawla, Pir Shabuddin Shah, in his true meaning of religion, states, "Faith is like a tree, the roots of which go into the heart. Its trunk is reason. The foundation of faith is love for Mawla. Thus, love for Mawla is everything, being at the root of faith." How do we express our love and devotion for Hazrat Imam? One way is by reciting salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. O Allah, bestow peace and blessings upon Muhammad and upon his descendants. There are, of course, an infinite number of other ways in which to express our love, seeking to please Imam, and including prayers, devotional recitations, connecting in our heart and our soul to his presence and grace, reflecting on and fulfilling his guidance, living by the ethics of our faith, and whenever possible, assisting each other as brothers and sisters, remaining united as one community, one family, serving the Jamaat, the Ummah and humanity as best we can. Indeed, this is his hope. Our beloved Imam's hope is articulated in the preamble of the Ismaili Constitution, where he says that the purpose here is to secure the peace and unity of Ismaili Muslims, our religious and social welfare, to foster fruitful collaboration between different peoples, to optimize the use of resources, and to enable us to make a valid and meaningful contribution to the improvement of the quality of life of the Ummah and to the societies in which we live. What is important here, I believe, is the principle of loving submission and of reflecting with our intellect on His grace, guidance, and vision. In my own case, I firmly believe that I am where I am today because of the grace and guidance of our Imam-e-Zaman. I think often about the guidance of Imam Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah that inspired my Nana Bapa and Nanima to make the perilous trip across the Indian Ocean from Gujarat to East Africa by boat. And they settled in Uganda, where they worked hard and did whatever they could to serve as best as possible. And that's where my parents met and where my brothers and I were raised in our early years. After reflecting on his guidance, we moved to England and from there to Canada. And in Canada, I reflected further on guidance that the Imam provided and decided to pursue medicine and engage in global health endeavors. What has worked for me is a rather simple paradigm where one asks, strives, and then offers thanks. First, ask by engaging with the Imam in a loving submission, in an intimate conversation of the heart and soul, sharing innermost thoughts and desires, seeking His rahmah, grace and guidance and benevolence, and then striving through ethical action to fulfill material and spiritual goals, and then offering thanks for whatever may come, knowing that His nur is with each of us at all times, as well as in Jamaat Khana, and that His hand is on our shoulders. Now, the term imamat can also be interpreted to refer to the rope or lineage of imams, one after another, but also to the hereditary office of the imam's leadership. Consider what his leadership has accomplished for the Jamaat, for the Ummah, and for humanity through the past 6 decades. One only needs to think of multiple inputs that AKDN provides and many other endeavors that the Imam is engaged in that are beyond extraordinary in their impact. This is a reflection of the mandate of the office of Imam, as well as Imam's resolute determination to strengthen the Jamaat, protect it, and enhance our quality of life, as well as that of others throughout the world. Shukr Mawla. This Imamat Day and every Imamat Day, let us express our heartfelt shukrana for the divine blessing of Imamat and think carefully about the Zahiri and Batini presence of our beloved Imam in our lives and what we can do to play a small but meaningful role in fulfilling his vision. Let us also resolve to strengthen our love for Mawla, to do the deeds that inshallah win his love. And let us pray for the Imam's good health and long life, for his continuing care and affection, for his grace and guidance, as well as for infinite barakah. May we be blessed with the strength of faith and spiritual enlightenment to guide us at all times, and may all our good wishes be fulfilled. Imamat Day Mubarak.
Before we end today's program, don't forget that celebrations for Imamat Day are just beginning. There is a full weekend of exciting programming planned on the Ismaili TV, including musical performances and feature films. As well, on Sunday, July 11th on iicanada.live, there will be an opportunity to view the broadcast of a virtual reception held at the delegation of the Ismaili Imamat in Ottawa to commemorate Imamat Day. For more details on this weekend's programming, please visit iicanada.org.
Now it's time for musical expressions, and tonight we premiere Anywhere by K4, 4 young artists who speak to us about the strength of having the Imam as our guide. Have a very happy Imamat Day, and good night.
You are the light that guides me dearly. I keep my head up very high. You are the only one who sees me as the girl who can touch the sky. I stay grounded, keeping steady. Your silence speaks to me. Your presence is not visible, yet I feel your company.
And you just let me grow. You show me how to trust in the truth, cause all I got is from you. It's not easy sometimes, but you just give me the sign. You're in my heart, in my mind. I've been trying to find my way back, all onto the light that guides me. Even when I think I'm much, I know that you're right beside me.
And I won't go astray, it's okay if you help me put my troubles away. And it's not a lonely road if you're there. With you I can go anywhere.
I ain't gonna check the time, tick tick tock, every minute. I turn I'll be on my own, really, I just feel alone. Push it up, I be getting to the limit, but close my eyes and then I think about it. Faith that no one never live without it. With a new smile, take a step back, realizing that I should've never done it. You always there for me, fear in my eyes, see you care for me. Word in the palm of my hands, give thanks for the good and the bad is shaping me. Blessings on blessings, plain to see. Look at the man that I came to be. Now I wanna face what's next though, now I wanna be my best though.
And you just let me grow, you show me how to trust in the truth, cause all I got is from you.
It's not easy sometimes, but you just give me the sign. You're in my heart, in my mind. I've been trying to find my way back, all onto the light that guides me. Even when I think I'm much, I know that you're right beside me.
And I won't go astray, it's okay if you help me put my troubles away. And it's not a lonely road if you're there. With you I can go anywhere.
I could go anywhere, yeah. I could go anywhere, oh. I could go anywhere, yeah. I could go anywhere, oh. And I've been trying to find my way back, all onto the light that guides me. Even when I think I'm much, I know that you're right beside me.
And I won't go astray, it's okay if you help me put my troubles away. And it's not a lonely road if you're there. With you I can go anywhere. And I won't go astray, it's okay if you help me put my troubles away. And it's not a lonely road if you're there. With you I can go